At the same time as Bitcoin just crashed under $90,000 this morning, there are some new rumors of the US government moving tens of thousands of Bitcoin. But this isn't stopping another country coming out and announcing their intentions to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now, again, this country neighbors Brazil, who is, of course, the largest economy in Latin America, who recently introduced a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This country Brazil wants to put 5% of its foreign reserve assets into Bitcoin. And now we have a neighbor of Brazil also wanting to do the exact same thing. So today I want to be talking about what exactly is going on. Why is the US moving tens of thousands of Bitcoin? And why are other nation states still being very positive on Bitcoin, still looking on Bitcoin very favorably? I want to start today's video by looking at this chart right here. Now, this is an old chart. This is a chart from 2021. Now, again, there are some similarities between 2021 and 2025. There is a reason why I'm showing you this old chart, because this chart was circulating months after Bukele, the Bitcoin president in El Salvador, implemented Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset for the country. There was FOMO from all around the world. We can see these are all the countries who were investigating Bitcoin adoption in 2021. We saw Mexico, we saw politicians in Panama, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Brazil, and Argentina all talk about potentially replicating what Bukele was doing. But as soon as the price turned down, a lot of this interest disappeared from these bigger nation states. And again, I think this time is a little bit different, because despite Bitcoin being down 15, 20% from its local all-time high, we're still seeing new countries every day announce their intentions to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Again, for those who haven't been paying attention, right now we have well over 25 different countries and regions all around the world exploring strategic Bitcoin reserves. You guys can see some of the bigger names on this list: Switzerland, Turkey, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Panama, Nigeria, Canada, a G7 nation, Brazil, and Argentina. We're seeing some really big countries really start to look at Bitcoin in a very different way than what they were looking at Bitcoin like in 2021. Okay, we're seeing a lot of FOMO. We're seeing a lot of interest. So, of course, who are we talking about today? Who is the next country exploring Bitcoin as a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Why do I think this FOMO in Latin America is spreading? Well, things are looking interesting because we have a country with a lot of GDP and a lot of people. We have a country with 20 million people right now looking at adopting Bitcoin as a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to show you the news. This is what's broken this week. So we have Chile, another country very close to Brazil. I'm always interested by the geographical significance of a lot of these announcements. Do you think it's a coincidence that Brazil, the largest economy in Latin America, only a couple of months ago came out and said, look, we want to put 5% of our foreign reserves into Bitcoin? Now we have Chile, a country very close to the border of Brazil. They might be smaller, but we can see here Chile explores Bitcoin integration with a proposed parliamentary group. So what exactly is going on here? Well, they've created a Bitcoin group that's going to be studying, legislating, and promoting Bitcoin-related initiatives. Okay, so we can see here, this is led by Congresswoman Gail Yemens, and this initiative aims to position Chile as a regional leader in Bitcoin adoption. Now, again, I think the key takeaway or the key point I want to really bring to your attention is regional leader. This gets back to the FOMO aspects that we're talking about. I don't think it's a coincidence that Brazil announces this a month ago, and now Chile, just weeks later, comes out and says the exact same thing. This is how nation-state FOMO is going to spread. This is why we can see literally over 25 different regions on this chart right here of countries all adopting Bitcoin. Again, let's remember all of the states in America also passing bills and saying, look, this is something we want to do in 2025. Trump gets into office in a matter of days. And when he does, I think we're going to see some really interesting things. Again, we're seeing some interesting things in the market today with yields skyrocketing, the Dixie skyrocketing, and Bitcoin crashing. We're seeing some really interesting things in the market. I think maybe people are a little bit scared of the uncertainty that we're seeing in the next 10 or 11 days before Trump officially gets into office. But when he does, and when we do see a little bit more certainty, I think we're going to see some pretty interesting things. I think we're going to potentially see some more action. Okay. Yes, in 2021, don't get me wrong, we saw a lot of talk from these nations. We didn't see much follow through. I think 2025 has the potential to be very different in that regard. Okay. Again, why do we care about Chile? Well, they're 3 times bigger than El Salvador. Again, they're not a huge country. I'm not making the case that they're a giant or they're huge or they're massive. They're not some multi-trillion-dollar giant. Okay. But they've got a pretty high GDP per capita. This is something my buddy Brandon pointed out to me. They do have a $330 billion GDP, which is pretty respectable. When you look at it per capita, it's a little bit higher than many of the other regions in Latin America. You can see they're dwarfing their competitors like Peru and Bolivia. So Chile does have some money. One of the more richer countries in South America. Again, South America is a relatively poor region of the world. The salaries are not huge in South America. Again, in El Salvador, the average salary is like $300 a month. Okay, Chile, it's very different. We can see here, $17,000 is their GDP per capita. It's multiples higher than what it is in El Salvador. So this country has money, has a little bit of money. Okay, for them to now be talking about Bitcoin, very interesting, very, very interesting. And they won't be the last country in Latin America talking about Bitcoin. Again, I think a lot of uncertainty is going to be cleared up once Trump is in office. Once that is official, once it is official that the largest nation state in the world has a Bitcoin president, we're going to see some pretty crazy things. Let's not forget Canada, G7 country, also, they have a Bitcoin president favorite to win the upcoming election. Pierre Poilievre. I hope I didn't butcher that name, but Pierre right now is a 90% odds-on favorite to win the Canada election. So 2 out of the 7 largest countries in the world, 2 of the largest Western economies, are going to have Bitcoin presidents. The dominoes will continue to fall. I think it's going to be pretty clear. If you don't own Bitcoin, you're going to need to own some Bitcoin in the very, very near future. Again, if you don't own any Bitcoin, or if you have a friend or family member who's looking to buy some Bitcoin, we'd love to help you guys out. Again, our show partner, Rhino Bitcoin, is giving $10 of free Bitcoin away to anyone who downloads the app and uses a promo code Bitcoin News. Very easy to find. We love Rhino Bitcoin because they've got some of the slickest user interface in the entire space. We think it's super easy to buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, and do everything you need to do on Rhino. Not only are the simple features really easy to do on Rhino, but you also are going to have the ability to do some more advanced things with your Bitcoin with Rhino in the not too distant future. You're going to be able to borrow against your Bitcoin. Again, you can send Bitcoin all across the world with Rhino. Highly recommend you check out what they're doing. You can check out the link in the description of today's video and go and use that promo code Bitcoin News, one word, to get yourself that $10 of free Bitcoin. Because again, right now we are still very early to Bitcoin. Getting $10 of free Bitcoin while we are right now under $100,000 per coin. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. Okay, I don't think the days of people giving out free Bitcoin are going to last forever. I mean, we can see here, where are we right now at the time of recording? I do have the price chart over which shoulder? That shoulder. What does that say? 92,000. I want to see what it is on the chart here. Double check my price feed. But I mean, right now, Bitcoin's at $92,000. I mean, you'll be telling stories in the future of how crazy it was that you were buying Bitcoin under $100,000. Again, a lot of people wished they could have bought Bitcoin for under $10,000 5 years ago. And I think a lot of people in 5 years' time will wish they bought Bitcoin under $100,000 today. So again, ignore the FUD, ignore the fear of nation states selling Bitcoin. Nation states all around the world are adopting Bitcoin. I think that's a good note to end today's stream on. I'll see you guys